Hi, this is Vicki from the Kankakee Public Library. I was interested in the Comet NEOWISE that I've been hearing on the news, and I thought who better to talk to us about this today than Stephen Case. If you don't know him, he is an author of fiction and nonfiction books. He is the Associate Professor of Chemistry and Geoscience at Olivet, Nazarene University. And more importantly today, this is why he's here, he is the director of the Strickler Planetarium at Olivet. So welcome, Stephen. Thanks for joining me this morning.
Thanks.
So what can you tell us about what comets are, and then what's so great and special about NEOWISE, and why is everyone talking about it?
Sure, absolutely. So the simplest way to explain a comet is it's basically a dirty snowball, right? It's like an asteroid, but they usually hang out in the far reaches of the solar system where there's a lot more ice, and occasionally they fall into the inner solar system. And when that happens and they get close enough to the sun, that ice starts to, it doesn't melt, it doesn't turn into a liquid in space, it goes straight to a gas, and it creates this big sort of coma around the comet and then the long tail that you see. And when that happens, we can often see them in our sky. So
is this, the most famous comet that everybody knows about is it the Halley's Comet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We know that comes around every 75 years, but is this the first time anyone has seen NEOWISE?
Yeah, it has a much longer period. It comes around about every 7,000 years.
Oh, okay.
So maybe someone saw this before 7,000 years ago, but the first time in recorded history it's been by.
Oh, wow. Okay. And I was reading about last night about the tail of the comet. Is that unique for this comet, or is it all comets that it's got like two different tails?
That's fairly common for comets. What's neat about NEOWISE is that it's visible. So usually every year we discover a handful of comets, usually more. But it's been fairly rare recently that there's one that we can see for ourselves in the sky without a telescope. So the fact that you can see the comet, you can see its tail easily, is what makes this one pretty exciting.
Okay. So binoculars are good enough to see that? You don't need a fancy telescope?
Yes. So I've been out 3 nights now looking for the comet, and it's from our skies here in Kankakee. I actually haven't had luck finding it with the naked eye. We went out in the country, but even there, it's in the northwestern sky. I'll tell you how to find it in just a second. But I wasn't able to spot it with my naked eye, either because it was a little bit hazy or maybe light pollution in that area of the sky. But it's very easy to spot with binoculars. So if you know approximately where it is, I just sort of sweep the sky in that area, and I found it easily out in the country. And then I was in a backyard right in Kankakee the other night, and I was able to spot it with binoculars.
Oh, wow. So today is Tuesday, July 21st. So because this will be up for a couple of days. So now you can kind of see behind me, it's kind of cloudy. I myself went out last night and we drove out a little bit away from the house. I'm like, oh, it's cloudy and we're expecting rain today. So I'm kind of thinking we're not going to have a good chance to see it today. But how much longer is it visible for?
Well, it's best visible this week. I think it reaches its closest approach to Earth, I believe the 23rd, and then it's just going to slowly fade away. So okay. This week, if we have a clear night, is probably the best chance to catch it. And the way you're going to want to look for it is this time of year, the Big Dipper is pretty easy to find in the northwestern sky. The Big Dipper is kind of upright, so the handle is pointing up, and then the bowl of the Big Dipper is pointing down toward the northwest. So you want to be outside where you can see the Big Dipper and the horizon below it in the northwestern part of the sky. You want it to be dark enough that you can see and find the Big Dipper. And then what you do is you take the bottom 2 stars of the bowl, and about halfway between those bottom 2 stars of the bowl of the Big Dipper and the horizon is where you're going to find the comet. So what I do is I just take my binoculars, I just start on the horizon below the Big Dipper, and then I just sort of slowly sweep upward until I find what looks like a fuzzy star with a tail. And it looks like your classic vision of a comet. And it's been pretty easy to spot with binoculars.
So where's the best place and time? So should you take a little drive out into the country? Obviously you need to be away from lights, but do you recommend somewhere specific? And
so I've gone out to, is it Willow Haven, in the Bourbonnais Park District? Sort of that's out. What's good about that is it's fairly dark and you've got a clear shot of the horizon. But really it doesn't matter as long as you're like I said, I found it in a backyard the other day. So as long as you've got a clear view of the northwestern horizon, if you really do want to try to spot it with your naked eye, though, you really need to get out where skies are pretty dark and you need a clear sky.
Okay, so that's exciting. So really, you don't need any fancy special equipment. You know, there's so many things you need, the telescope, or, you know, you got to go to a planetarium or find a group and do that. So that's what's probably really exciting about this and why it's in the news, in case you haven't already heard about it. Anything else special to add about it?
That's it's a good starting place, right? It's been the first time in a while that we've been able to see a comet easily in the sky. So and it's impressive, right? You look at it and you say, wow, that's a comet that's moving 40 miles per second, something like 70 million miles away. So it's really neat to see. The other thing about this time of year, if you're out and you're looking for NEOWISE is in the evening sky. But when you're out there, you're going to see both Jupiter and Saturn in the southern sky. They're going to be the brightest things low in the southern sky. And then if you're out a little bit later, Mars is going to come up. And then if you stay out all night and you're out before dawn, you're going to see both Mercury and Venus.
Oh, wow.
So by the time Mercury and Venus are rising in the east, Saturn and Jupiter are in the west, and you can see all visible planets, all Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, Mercury, and Venus, all arranged in a line across the sky.
Oh.
So if you've got a warm, clear night and you want to spend some time stargazing, that's something to see as well.
Wow, so we got quite the Earth show coming this week. So it does sound like the weather's not going to cooperate today, but I think it's supposed to be clear the next couple of days. So let's cross our fingers and hopefully.
All right. Excellent.
So finally, what's the next big event after this? So we're excited about this, but when's, you know, the next eclipse, the next comet, the next exciting things we need to be looking out for?
So one of the really big things that's on the horizon right now, I said you could find Jupiter and Saturn together in the southern sky. And they're fairly close, but if we watch them for the rest of the year, they're going to be getting closer and closer and closer together. They're moving toward what we call a grand conjunction. And in December of this year, actually on the solstice, December 21st, Jupiter and Saturn are going to be closer together in the sky than they've been in the past 400 years. They're going to be close enough that you're going to be able to see them both together in a telescope. So you can see like the moons of Jupiter and the rings of Saturn together in your telescope. So that's going to be something to look forward to. That's a pretty big event coming up.
Well, that sounds great. Maybe we have you back for another chat to remind us where to look when December comes around.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us today and helping us out to spot the NEOWISE comet.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.